Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are jumping right into something I think everyone has felt. That tricky, uh, exciting, but sometimes really confusing world of early relationships. We're doing a deep dive on relationship red flags and, maybe more importantly, challenging that shiny, perfect image we often see at the beginning, the illusion of perfection.
That's right.
We're trying to give you an early warning system. Because when you first meet someone, that spark, that chemistry, your brain is just flooded with dopamine, the love hormone.
Mm-hmm.
And that chemical rush makes it, almost impossible to think logically.
It really does. And the issue goes even deeper than, the chemistry. The main psychological reason we miss these red flags is a really basic human need, the need for approval, for validation.
Validation.
Yes, we are so invested in this new person being perfect because, well, if they're perfect, then our choice to be with them validates us. It makes us feel like we made a good choice.
Okay, that changes everything. So we're not just looking for a partner. We're actually looking for proof that we're good at this,
Mm-hmm.
that we're good judges of character.
Yes, exactly.
So how does that actually play out in, say, the first few weeks of dating?
It shows up in what our source material calls the advocate brain. When you meet someone new, your mind stops acting like a neutral detective, gathering facts, looking at evidence.
Okay.
Instead, it instantly hires an internal defense attorney, an advocate for this new person.
An advocate, defense
100%.
attorney, in my own brain.
Got it.
So it's actively defending their weird behavior.
It's incredibly good at it. For instance, if they're always running late, showing a lack of respect for your time, the advocate in your head says, oh, they're just so busy and successful.
Right. It's a good thing.
Or if they seem a little too possessive, wanting to text all the time, the advocate argues, wow, they just care so much, they're afraid of losing me.
I can hear it now.
And a classic one, if you see them get suddenly really angry or, dismissive toward a waiter, the advocate whispers, they must be having a really bad day. They're just under a lot of pressure. This isn't who they really are.
We're not just ignoring the red flags, we're actively destroying the evidence.
You are. You're rationalizing them away before they even register. And that's why we're here. The whole point of this deep dive is to help you fire that internal advocate and hire the detective instead.
To focus on what's actually happening, not the story we're telling ourselves.
Just the facts. Verifiable behavior, not hopeful interpretations.
Okay, let's jump straight into the first and maybe the most confusing red flag, the danger of perfect speed. You know it as love bombing. To most people, getting all that attention, that intense interest, feels amazing. It feels romantic. So why does the research say this is actually dangerous?
Because that kind of speed is almost always a mask for manipulation. We're not talking about someone just being enthusiastic. We're talking about huge, overwhelming declarations that happen way too soon.
Before there's any real foundation.
Exactly, before they even know you. That pace actually prevents real connection from ever forming.
So what are the specific signs? Like, what should you be listening for?
You're listening for immediate, over-the-top, future-focused statements. Things like, you're my soulmate, or I've never met anyone like you.
After one date.
After one date. Or even suggesting huge life steps. Moving in, getting married, meeting their parents. After just a week or two, it's just way too much too soon. And here's the key takeaway on this one. That intensity, that speed, it means the person isn't in love with you. The real, complex, flawed you.
Right.
They're in love with the feeling you give them, the validation you provide. You're basically a quick fix for some deeper emotional need they have.
So if they're calling me the love of their life after 4 dates, I'm really just, a mirror for them.
You are a perfect mirror. A love bomber is looking into that mirror and seeing their own needs reflected back. A quick solution to their own emptiness.
An emptiness.
Yeah, the research strongly suggests that people who do this, they're often operating from a place of a deep internal void, and this surge of affection you give them temporarily fills it. But you can't fill a hole inside someone from the outside.
Okay, I see. That explains the intensity. But what happens when that feeling fades? Or when I, inevitably do something human and imperfect?
That's when it all falls apart. They put you on this impossibly high pedestal. You're this perfect object that has to keep them feeling good.
An object, wow.
And because the pedestal is so high, the smallest mistake, you miss a call, you disagree on something, you just need a night to yourself.
Thrown off.
Dramatically. The idealization immediately flips to devaluation. It's a cycle.
And it snaps just like that.
Instantly. The simple rule here is that real healthy love has to slow cook. It builds over time. It shouldn't just explode out of nowhere. If it feels like overwhelming fireworks on day one, your detective should be telling you that something else is going on.
That is incredibly clear. So velocity is a big one. But what about testing for someone's actual character. Let's get into the character tests. The first one is a minefield, talking about past relationships. Is it always a red flag to talk about your ex?
No, not at all. It can actually be a really good sign of maturity. The red flag isn't that they talk about their exes, it's how they talk about them.
Okay, so what's the big warning sign to listen for?
It's the total lack of any self-reflection. It's when they describe all of their former partners with these extreme negative labels. She was crazy, he was a psychopath, they were all toxic.
The victim narrative.
Yes, if every single person they've ever dated is the villain of the story, that should stop you cold.
But, I mean, I could see my advocate brain kicking in here. What if they just had genuinely bad luck? What if they really did run into a string of bad partners?
And that's exactly what the advocate would say. But your detective needs to apply what we call the common denominator rule.
The common denominator.
If you've had, say, 5 relationships that all ended in disaster, and in every single story the other person was 100% the problem, what's the only factor that's present in all 5 of those situations?
The person telling me the story. The narrator.
That's it. It shows a complete inability to take any responsibility for their role in what happened. They are basically telling you, I am perfect and I'm incapable of being part of the problem.
And what that means for me listening to this is,
It means that when problems come up in your relationship, and they always do, they will, with 100% certainty, shift the blame onto you. You're just auditioning to be the next villain in their story.
oof, that's a rough but very useful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the common denominator test. What's another key character test for those first few dates?
The other big one is the service staff test. Just watch how they treat people in service roles. Waiters, bartenders, taxi drivers, anyone they see as being there to serve them.
But why does that matter so much if they're treating me like royalty?
Because that royal treatment is a performance. It's for you. It's designed to win you over. If they can be charming and amazing to you, but then turn around and be rude or dismissive to a waiter who can't do anything for them,
You're seeing the real them?
you are seeing their default setting, that mask they're wearing for you, it will drop. And how they treat people who they think can't benefit them is the best predictor of how they'll treat you once the honeymoon phase is over.
Okay, these tests are giving the detective a lot to go on. Now let's turn the lens around and look at a mistake we often make ourselves. The boundary mistake. Sacrificing who we are just to make a connection work.
Yes, this is what the sources call relational self-sabotage. It's basically trying to bend yourself into the shape you think the other person wants you to be.
Can you give us a really concrete example of what that looks like?
Of course, the classic example is, say, your new partner absolutely loves hiking in the mountains. And you hate hiking. You'd rather stay home and read.
Okay.
But you're afraid to create friction, so you say, oh my gosh, I love trekking, this is amazing. And you start spending every weekend miserable on a mountain.
But wait, isn't that just being accommodating? Trying to find common ground, being flexible.
It seems like it, but here's the problem. You're selling them a fake personality. The person they're falling in love with isn't actually you. They're falling for this illusion you've created. This person who loves trekking and never disagrees.
And you can't keep that up forever.
It's exhausting. Eventually, the real you has to come out. The person who needs quiet time and hates mountains. And when that happens, what do you think the partner feels?
Deceived. Lied to.
Exactly. They feel tricked. They'll say, but I thought you loved this. Who are you? So the thing you did to try and secure the relationship actually ends up poisoning it.
So by trying to avoid a small conflict now, you're basically guaranteeing a huge one later.
Precisely. And this is why boundaries are so powerful. People worry that setting a boundary makes them seem, I don't know, cold or difficult.
Yeah, you don't want to be high maintenance.
Right. But the sources are clear. Setting boundaries doesn't make you cold, it makes you valuable. When you protect your time, your energy, your actual identity, you are teaching the other person how they need to treat you. People respect what you protect.
That's a complete reframe. Boundaries are a map to your own value. So what's the immediate, actionable thing our listeners can do?
The single biggest investment you can make in a new relationship is your ability to say a kind but firm no, even on the first date. If you don't want to do something, say so politely.
And see what happens.
And see what happens. If they respect that small no, you just got amazing data that they respect you as a person. If they push or pout or try to convince you otherwise, you just got a huge red flag for free.
This has been such a vital deep dive, moving from being a hopeful fan in the stands to an objective detective on the field. We've covered the 3 big areas: the danger of too much speed, those critical character tests like the common denominator rule and how they treat service staff, and finally, the huge mistake of sacrificing your own boundaries.
It's all about looking past that illusion of perfection that our own brains want so badly to believe in.
Knowing that if we don't actively look for the flaws, our internal advocate will just hide them for us until it's way too late.
Right. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final provocative question that came up in our research, something to really think about.
Okay, let's hear it.
That thing you see in someone right now, that little habit, that annoying behavior, that thing that gives you pause, but you tell yourself, oh, they'll change over time. Is that actually a fixed, permanent red flag that you're choosing to ignore today, which will become the central conflict of your relationship tomorrow?
Wow, a powerful question. Informed observation is always your best tool. Go be the detective.